All right, we're good.
All right, this is Monica, the Canguro race. Thank you, Sarge. Good. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll keep back off. This is Monica, the Canguro Racing 200 Series Land Cruiser. So this is our pride and joy for desert racing. We're in a dying class of the stock 8, which means this is mostly stock underneath. While it looks heavily modified with roll bar tubing and all the interior's been pulled out, all the glass, it still runs all stock suspension components with the exception of shocks. So all the upper and lower control arms are stock, all the stock mounting locations, stock axles. So it's a fun class to run in because we can buy our parts right at the Toyota dealership. It's been a great vehicle. We've had a great success rate with this, probably 80–85% finish rate, which is pretty uncharacteristic for most racing, but we've been real fortunate.
Tim, can you tell us maybe about the build on the inside and how you've got that set up?
Yeah, you bet. Why don't we point over here?
Yeah.
So all the chassis work was done by Geyser Brothers. They're a professional chassis builder in Arizona. They build anything from like a stock 8 like this to trophy trucks, and they build very successful cars. So they did all the tube work, and if you crawl your way around, it's very neatly and tidily done. It fits within the stock constraints of the Land Cruiser body. It's got still runs even a little bit of leather on the dash, and still runs the factory Land Cruiser electronics, factory motor, transmission, T-case, and axles, as I mentioned. Has a lot of stuff. We run a full GPS for the co-driver. It's got pumper systems, so the driver and co-driver get fresh air, as well as we're mic'd the whole time in our helmets, so we got constant intercom. Other than that, it's pretty utilitarian in here.
What's your comm preference?
We use a race radio, so this has a Kenwood radio in it. So it's an intercom system between the drivers, but both the driver and co-driver can talk out to the pits and the chase vehicle. So there's a button for the driver and a button for the co-driver to be able to push and then talk out to the chase teams. And so all the chase teams will have race radios as well, be it Kenwoods or IceComms or Yaesus. We're all rigged up so that we can be in comms with whenever we're close enough. There are a lot of times during the race where you're a couple hours away from hearing from your chase team, and that's just kind of the way it goes, but you get to talk to your co-driver the whole time.
Okay.
So you keep each other company.
I see back here you've got your recovery equipment. Can you tell us about kind of what the go-to things are?
We've got recovery and spares in this bag. The go-to, of course, is going to be a strap. That's the one that comes out the most. We do keep max tracks and a shovel. We've been fortunate not to have to use the max tracks for ourselves, but they're there if we need them. And then inside the big Pelican case, we keep fluids and spares. So we basically keep everything need to be self-sustained out on the race course within reason. You don't always know it's going to break, so we've definitely been caught a few times without the parts we need, and you have to wait 4 or 5 hours for a chase vehicle to show up with the right part. We do carry spare parts on the car, so there's a spare upper and lower control arm mounted to the roll cage, and there's a spare rear drive line. So kind of some of the bare minimums. We also have a spare track bar for the back too. So any of the rear suspension components we have on the car, and we have bolts to fix. We carry a spare throttle body, a spare accelerator pedal, in case one of those were to fail. The dust is hard on those electrical components. Other than that, spare tires, spare lug nuts, and just the tools to fix anything that could happen. If it's something major, we really lean on our chase crews to have the parts. So we've got a rolling assembly of parts that follow the race down the peninsula on the highway. And we have everything from differentials to axle shafts, bigger spares that you can't feasibly carry in the car.
Yeah, you mentioned you had a great tire sponsor. Can you tell us about like your tire setup and what
we run the
preferences
the BFG Baja TAs, the KR2s. They're a fantastic tire. If you can tell looking at them, they get beat hard, and they've held up really well. The other big plus of BFG is their pit support. So in a big race like the Baja 1000, BFG sets up 8 pits, around 8 pits along the length of the run. So you can fuel with them, do your repairs, or just use them as a backup. We do all our own pitting, but we use the BFGs as a backup if we need to work on a car at one of their pits. They've got welders, tire machines, and they actually make that available to other racers as well. I mean, they are great sports, but if you're on BFGs, they've got your back and they're looking for you. So they're watching for you to make your way down the peninsula.
Okay. You can take a look at the back over here too. It looks like you've got a nice setup back here.
Yeah. So rear mounted spare, it is a big 37-inch heavy tire, so we keep it very accessible. It's one ratchet strap away from being able to come off the car. trans cooler in the back. We still run the factory radiator, keeps the motor adequately cool, but the transmission, because it takes such a flogging, does run a big auxiliary trans cooler, and that's allowed in our class. And then there is a big rear-mounted fuel cell under the back end of the car here. So there's a big aluminum fuel cell, baffled fuel cell that's kind of hard to see, but tucked down in there.
It is.
Yep, you got eyes on it there.
Yeah.
So we do all our fueling out the back of the car, and that's part of the safety class rules that you have to do that.
You got the Monica tag right there.
Got the Monica tag, that's
Nice.
right, yeah.
All right. Anything else that you want to tell us about it, or
Not
I think
a whole
we pretty
lot.
much covered?
Yeah, we pretty much covered it.
Let's
I
maybe
go
just
to
a
the front
setup up
end,
here. Yeah, let's. This is definitely. Oops, excuse me.
So this is just a standard 3UR FE, the 5.7 liter that comes in the Land Cruiser, Sequoia, and Tundra here in the U.S. market. This is a sealed motor. We are allowed to make repairs to it, but we can't make any modifications to it. So it's still running all the factory internal components, the pistons, crank, everything factory. It's the normally aspirated, not supercharged, no turbo systems. We are allowed to put an aftermarket intake system on it just to get a filter inside the cab, because the stock filter system wouldn't hold up to the dust we encounter. But factory radiator right off the shelf, all the fan clutch right off the shelf, everything on the motor is just parts we can buy at a Toyota dealership.
Awesome. Thank you so much for
Yeah,
going
of course,
over
happy to
that. It
help.
was an awesome, amazing vehicle, and thanks for all the insight too on all your adventures. So
Yeah, glad you enjoyed it.